The cold mountain air bit into Dr. Michael Rodriguez's face as he walked toward the giant white dome that housed the telescope. It was 3 in the morning, and the world was quiet except for the wind whistling through the pine trees. Michael had been coming to this observatory for 20 years, but tonight felt different. Tonight the stars seemed to be calling to him in a way they never had before. Michael pushed open the heavy door and stepped inside the warm building. The massive telescope pointed toward the night sky like a giant eye searching for secrets. He had spent most of his life looking through this telescope and others like it. He had discovered 3 new planets and helped map distant galaxies. But for the past few months, something had been bothering him about what he was seeing up there. Emma Watson was already at her computer when Michael arrived. She was young and smart, and had been his research assistant for 2 years. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and her blue eyes were focused on the screen in front of her. She looked up when she heard Michael come in. "Good morning, Dr. Rodriguez," she said with a tired smile. "I have been here since midnight working on those readings from last week. Something is not right with what we are seeing." Michael nodded and poured himself coffee from the pot Emma had made. The hot liquid warmed his hands as he held the cup. He walked over to look at Emma's computer screen. Numbers and graphs filled, the display showing data from their observations of distant stars. "What exactly are you seeing, Emma?" he asked as he sat down in the chair next to her. Emma pointed to a series of wavy lines on her screen. "Look at this pattern from the star cluster in the northern sky. See how the light changes in a regular pattern. At first I thought it was just normal twinkling caused by our atmosphere, but then I noticed something strange." She clicked a button, and the display changed to show data from different stars. All of them showed similar patterns. The lines went up and down in what looked like a rhythm. It was not random like normal star twinkling should be. "This is impossible," Michael said quietly. "Stars do not twinkle in patterns like this. The atmosphere causes random disturbances in starlight. This looks almost like the stars are blinking on purpose." Emma nodded excitedly. "That is exactly what I thought. And look at this." She showed him more data. "I have been tracking 17 different star systems over the past 3 months. They are all doing the same thing. The patterns are getting stronger too." Michael stared at the screen. In all his years of studying space, he had never seen anything like this. Stars were giant balls of burning gas. They did not think or communicate. They certainly did not blink in patterns, but the evidence was right there in front of him. "Show me the telescope feed," he said. Emma switched the computer to show the live view from their big telescope. The night sky appeared on the screen filled with thousands of bright points of light. To most people, it would look normal and beautiful. But Michael could see what Emma was talking about. Some of the stars were twinkling in a way that seemed too regular, too planned. Michael spent the next hour studying the patterns with Emma. The more they looked, the more convinced he became that something unusual was happening. The stars were not just randomly twinkling. They were following some kind of sequence like a code. "We need to document everything," he told Emma. "Record all the patterns and try to find connections between different star systems. But we need to be careful about who we tell." "Why?" Emma asked. This could be the discovery of the century. Michael had been thinking the same thing. But he also knew how the scientific community worked. If they presented this data without being absolutely certain, people would think they were crazy. His reputation would be ruined, and no one would take their work seriously. "Because people will think we have lost our minds," he explained. "Stars do not send messages, Emma. Everyone knows that. If we are going to convince anyone, we need solid proof and a theory that makes sense." Over the next week, Michael and Emma worked in secret. They used the observatory equipment during their normal shifts, but spent extra hours analyzing the strange star patterns. Michael barely slept as he tried to understand what they were seeing. The patterns were definitely getting stronger. What had started as subtle changes in starlight were becoming more obvious. Some stars seemed to be pulsing like heartbeats. Others blinked in sequences that reminded Michael of Morse code. Emma discovered that the patterns were not random across the sky. Stars in certain regions seemed to be coordinating with each other. When one group of stars pulsed in a particular way, stars in another part of the sky would respond with their own pattern. "This looks like communication," Michael said one night as they studied the latest data. "It is like the stars are talking to each other across space." "But that is impossible," Emma replied. "Stars are just burning gas. They cannot think or communicate." Michael knew she was right. Everything he had learned about astronomy told him that stars were simple objects. They were born from gas clouds burned for millions of years, and then died. They did not have intelligence or the ability to send messages. But the evidence kept growing stronger. The patterns were becoming more complex and more coordinated. Michael began to suspect that something was controlling the stars, or at least affecting how their light reached Earth. But what could possibly have that kind of power? After 2 weeks of secret research, Michael made a decision. He picked up his phone and dialed a number he had not called in 5 years. The phone rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered. "Hello, Michael. This is Dr. James Park. I need your help with something that is going to sound completely crazy." There was silence on the other end of the line. James Park had been Michael's friend since graduate school. He was now a quantum physicist at one of the most prestigious universities in the country. If anyone would listen to Michael's wild theory, it would be James. "What kind of crazy are we talking about?" James asked with a nervous laugh. "The kind where stars might be trying to send us a message," Michael replied. "Can you come to the observatory? I have something incredible to show you." Dr. James Park arrived at the mountain observatory just as the sun was setting behind the tall pine trees. His rental car struggled up the winding road to the top where Michael had been waiting for him. James was a thin man with dark hair and thick glasses who always looked like he had just solved a difficult math problem. He stepped out of the car carrying a large briefcase and looked around at the peaceful mountain setting. Michael greeted his old friend with a handshake and led him inside the observatory building. Emma was already there preparing the computer displays to show James what they had discovered. She had been working non-stop for the past 3 days, organizing all their data into a clear presentation. "James, this is Emma Watson, my research assistant," Michael said as they walked into the main room. "Emma, this is Dr. James Park, the quantum physicist I told you about." Emma shook James' hand and smiled nervously. She had heard many stories about James and his work with particle physics and space, time theories. Having such a famous scientist come to see their discovery made her both excited and worried. So Michael James said as he set down his briefcase, "What is this impossible thing you wanted to show me? Your phone call made it sound like you had found aliens or something." Michael and Emma exchanged glances. That was exactly what they were starting to think, but they had not said it out loud yet. Instead, Michael pointed to the computer screens that Emma had prepared. "Look at this data from the past month," Michael said. Emma showed him the star cluster observations. Emma clicked on her computer, and the screen filled with graphs and charts showing the twinkling patterns from different stars. The wavy lines moved up and down in what clearly looked like organized sequences, rather than random flickering. James studied the display carefully. His face showed confusion at first, then surprise as he began to understand what he was looking at. After several minutes, he turned to Michael with wide eyes. "This cannot be right," he said. "Stars do not behave this way. There must be some equipment, error, or atmospheric interference." "That is what we thought too," Emma said. "But we have checked everything 3 times. The equipment is working perfectly and the patterns are too organized to be caused by our atmosphere." She showed James more data from different nights and different star systems. Every display showed the same thing. Stars across the sky were twinkling, in coordinated patterns that seemed to follow mathematical rules. James spent the next 2 hours studying all the information that Michael and Emma had collected. He asked detailed questions about their methods and equipment. He made them show him the raw data and the original telescope observations. By the end, he was convinced that what they were seeing was real. "If this is accurate," James said slowly, "then we are looking at something that should be impossible according to everything we know about stars and space. These patterns suggest some kind of artificial control or influence." Michael nodded. "That is exactly what we think. But we need help figuring out what it means. The patterns are getting more complex every day, and we think they might be some kind of message." James opened his briefcase and pulled out a laptop computer. He connected it to Emma equipment and began running his own analysis programs on their data. The numbers that appeared on his screen made him sit back in his chair with shock. "The patterns follow prime number sequences," he said quietly, "and Fibonacci numbers, and other mathematical progressions that are fundamental to physics and mathematics. This is definitely artificial. Natural processes do not create patterns like this." Emma felt her heart racing. They had suspected this, but hearing it, confirmed by an expert, made it real. The stars were being controlled by some kind of intelligence. James continued his analysis through the night while Michael and Emma watched. They brought him coffee and sandwiches, but he barely noticed. He was completely focused on the data flowing across his screen. Just before dawn, James made a discovery that changed everything. He found that the star patterns were not just random mathematical sequences. They were part of a larger message that was being transmitted across multiple star systems at the same time. "Look at this," he said excitedly, pointing to his screen. "If I combine the data from all 17 star systems and arrange them according to their position in the sky, I get this." The screen showed a complex pattern that looked like a map or diagram. The lines and symbols seemed to represent something, but none of them could understand what it meant. "This is beyond anything I can decode alone," James said. "We need help from someone who specializes in breaking codes and understanding alien communications." Michael felt a chill run down his spine. James had just said the word alien out loud. They were really dealing with something from another world. "I know someone who might be able to help," Michael said. "Dr. Lisa Martinez works for the government in code breaking and communication analysis. She has been studying the possibility of messages from space for years." James nodded. "We need to contact her immediately, but we also need to be very careful. If this gets out to the wrong people, it could cause panic, or the government might try to take over our research." Emma looked worried. "What if the government does not believe us or thinks we are making it up? Then we keep working in secret until we have proof that no one can deny," Michael replied. "But first we need to understand what the message is saying." James spent the rest of the morning setting up more advanced analysis equipment. He explained that the patterns they were seeing might be just the beginning. If aliens were really trying to communicate with Earth, the message would probably get stronger and more detailed over time. By noon, they had established a direct communication link with Dr. Lisa Martinez. She was driving up from the city and would arrive that evening. James warned them that Lisa worked for the National Security Agency and might have to report their discovery to the government. "But she is also a scientist first," Michael said. "If anyone can help us decode this message, it will be Lisa." As the day progressed, the star patterns became even more obvious. Emma noticed that the twinkling was now visible to the naked eye during the day when she looked at the brightest stars through the telescope. Whatever was causing the patterns was getting stronger. That evening, as they waited for Lisa to arrive, Michael stood outside the observatory looking up at the darkening sky. The first stars were becoming visible, and he could see them twinkling in their strange, organized way. For the first time in his life, Michael felt like the universe was trying to talk directly to him. The question was whether humanity was ready to hear what it had to say. Inside the observatory, James and Emma continued monitoring the signals. The patterns were definitely getting stronger and more complex. Something big was about to happen, and they were running out of time to figure out what it meant. Dr. Lisa Martinez arrived at the observatory just after midnight. She was a serious woman with short brown hair and sharp green eyes that seemed to notice everything around her. She carried 2 large metal cases filled with advanced code-breaking equipment from the National Security Agency. Michael and Emma could tell she was not used to working in places like mountain observatories. Lisa had driven straight from Washington after James called her about the star patterns. During the long drive, she had been thinking about what James had told her. Messages from space were something she had studied for years but never expected to actually encounter. Now she was here to see if the impossible was really happening. James met Lisa at the door and helped her carry the heavy cases inside. The observatory was buzzing with activity, even though it was the middle of the night. Michael had set up extra computers, and Emma had prepared detailed charts showing all the star patterns they had recorded. "Show me everything," Lisa said, without wasting time on small talk. "James explained your basic findings, but I need to see the raw data myself." Emma guided Lisa to the main computer station where all their observations were stored. For the next hour, Lisa studied every piece of information they had collected. She ran the data through her own analysis programs and checked their methods. Her face grew more serious as she worked. "This is definitely artificial," Lisa said finally. "The mathematical patterns are too complex and too organized to be natural. But there is something else here that you have not noticed yet." She pulled up a display showing the star patterns from the past week. With a few clicks, she highlighted certain sequences that appeared to repeat across different star systems. "Look at these sections," she said, pointing to the screen. "These are not just random mathematical sequences. They are layered with multiple levels of encoding. Whoever is sending this message is using very advanced encryption methods." Michael felt his excitement growing. If the message was encrypted, it meant the senders were intelligent and were trying to hide their communication from someone or something. But why would aliens need to encrypt their messages? Lisa worked through the night using all her code-breaking skills and equipment. James helped by analyzing the mathematical structures, while Emma monitored the telescope for new patterns. Michael coordinated everything and made sure they had fresh coffee and food. Just before dawn, Lisa made a breakthrough. She had found a way to decode the first layer of encryption in the star patterns. What she discovered made everyone in the room stop what they were doing. "The message is a warning," she said in a quiet voice. "The first part that I decoded says something about danger approaching and time running out." She showed them the translated text on her screen. The words were simple, but terrifying. "Great darkness comes. 37 days remain. All stars in danger." Emma felt her hands shaking as she read the message. A warning about danger in space sounded like something from a science fiction movie, but the evidence was right there in front of them, decoded from actual star patterns. "There is more," Lisa continued. "The message talks about something that feeds on stars, something that has been sleeping in the dark spaces between galaxies but is now awake and moving." James studied the decoded text carefully. His knowledge of physics helped him understand some of the technical details that Lisa had translated. What he read made him very worried. "According to this message," James said slowly, "there is some kind of artificial intelligence that travels through space, consuming stars for energy. It has been doing this for millions of years, moving from galaxy to galaxy." Michael felt a chill run through his body. The idea of something that could destroy entire stars was beyond frightening. If such a thing existed and was heading toward Earth, there might be nothing humanity could do to stop it. Lisa continued decoding more of the message throughout the morning. Each new section revealed more details about the approaching threat. The artificial intelligence was called the Star Eater in the alien message. It had already consumed thousands of stars in distant galaxies and was now moving toward the Milky Way. But the most shocking revelation came when Lisa decoded the final part of the message. The star patterns were not being created by one alien civilization. They were being created by a network of different civilizations across the galaxy who had learned to work together. The survivors of worlds that had already been attacked by the Star Eater had figured out how to communicate by controlling the light from their dying stars. They were using their last remaining energy to warn other civilizations about what was coming. This explains why the patterns are getting stronger, Emma said. More civilizations are joining the network as the Star Eater gets closer to our part of the galaxy. Lisa nodded grimly. And according to the time codes in the message, we have exactly 37 days before it reaches our solar system. Our sun will be its next target. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. In just over a month, an ancient artificial intelligence would arrive to consume their sun and destroy all life on Earth. The weight of this knowledge was almost too much to bear. But there was one more part of the message that Lisa had not finished decoding. She worked feverishly to translate the final sections, which seemed to contain technical information rather than warnings. "Wait," she said suddenly. "There are instructions here. The alien network is not just warning us. They are trying to help us fight back." The final part of the message contained detailed plans for building a quantum resonance device. The technology was far beyond anything humans had ever created. but the instructions showed how to modify existing particle accelerators to create the necessary quantum field. According to the message James said as he studied the technical details, this device can disrupt the Star Eater energy absorption process. If we can build it and activate it at the right time, we might be able to drive the thing away. Michael looked around at his team. 3 days ago, he had been a simple astronomer studying normal stars. Now he was part of a group that held the key to saving Earth from an ancient cosmic threat. The responsibility was overwhelming, but there was no choice. "We have to try," he said. "Even if the chances are small, we have to attempt to build this device. The entire planet depends on it." Lisa was already making plans. "We will need access to a major particle accelerator and complete secrecy. If word gets out about this before we are ready, it could cause worldwide panic." Emma looked up at the sky through the observatory window. In the daylight, she could not see the stars, but she knew they were still there, twinkling their desperate warning. Somewhere in the darkness, between galaxies, something ancient and terrible was heading toward Earth. The countdown had begun. Time was running out faster than anyone had imagined. Michael Rodriguez stood in the basement of the university physics building, looking at the massive particle accelerator that would either save Earth or witness its destruction. Only 12 days remained before the Star Eater would arrive, and they had been working around the clock to modify the machine according to the alien instructions. Emma Watson had barely slept in weeks. Her eyes were red from staring at computer screens, but her hands moved quickly across the keyboard as she fine-tuned the quantum field calculations. The alien message had provided the basic design, but adapting it to human technology required thousands of small adjustments. Dr. James Park was covered in grease and metal dust from crawling inside the accelerator to install new components. The modifications were unlike anything ever attempted before. They were essentially turning a machine designed to smash particles into a device that could create ripples in space and time itself. Dr. Lisa Martinez coordinated with observatories around the world to track the Star Eater approach. The ancient intelligence was still invisible to most telescopes, but its gravitational effects were growing stronger each day. Stars in nearby systems were already beginning to flicker and dim as the creature drew closer. "We are running out of time," Michael said as he checked the latest readings from their monitoring equipment. "The Star Eater will be here in less than 2 weeks, and we still have not tested the quantum field generator." James wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at the modified accelerator. The machine now looked like something from a science fiction movie, with strange new components bolted onto its original structure. Cables and cooling tubes snaked everywhere, connecting the alien technology to human engineering. "The theory should work," he said tiredly. "According to the calculations, the quantum resonance field will disrupt the Star Eater energy absorption matrix. But we will only get one chance to make it work." Emma looked up from her computer screen with worried eyes. "I have been monitoring the Star Network communications, and the messages are getting weaker. More civilizations are going dark every day as the Star Eater consumes their suns." Lisa nodded grimly. "Which means we are truly on our own now. If our device fails, there will be no second chance and no help from anyone else." The team had been working in complete secrecy for over 3 weeks. They had told the university administration that they were conducting a special research project, but no one suspected they were trying to save the world. The weight of their secret was almost as heavy as the responsibility they carried. Michael made the decision to test the device early. They could not wait until the last moment and risk having the equipment fail when Earth needed it most. On a cold Thursday morning, they prepared for the first activation of their quantum resonance generator. Emma ran final checks on all the computer systems, while James monitored the particle accelerator power levels. Lisa coordinated with her contacts at observatories worldwide to watch for any effects their test might create. Michael stood at the main control panel, ready to activate the device that would either prove their theory or destroy their only hope. "Starting the sequence now," Michael announced as he pressed the activation button. The particle accelerator hummed to life with a deep vibration that shook the entire building. Energy levels climbed steadily as the machine accelerated particles to incredible speeds. But instead of smashing the particles together like normal, the modified system channeled them through the alien quantum field generators. The air in the basement began to shimmer and glow with strange colors as the quantum field took shape around the accelerator. Emma watched her computer screens as readings climbed beyond anything they had ever seen. The fabric of space and time was being stretched and twisted by their machine. Field generation is stable, James reported from his monitoring station. Quantum resonance is building to critical levels. Suddenly, every screen in the room lit up with signals from observatories around the world. Lisa answered call after call from astronomers reporting strange effects in space. The quantum field they had created was propagating outward from Earth at the speed of light, affecting stars and planets throughout the solar system. "It's working," Emma shouted excitedly. "The field is spreading exactly like the alien instructions predicted." But their celebration was cut short when warning alarms began blaring throughout the building. The quantum field was creating more effects than they had expected. Electrical systems throughout the city were experiencing strange surges, and some satellites had stopped functioning properly. "We need to shut it down," Michael said. "We have proven the device works, but we cannot risk damaging Earth infrastructure before the real battle." James carefully powered down the particle accelerator, while Emma saved all the test data to multiple backup systems. The strange glow faded from the air and the building stopped shaking. Their test had been successful, but it had also shown them how dangerous their weapon really was. Over the next week, they refined the device based on what they had learned from the test. Emma wrote new control programs to focus the quantum field more precisely. James installed additional safety systems to prevent the field from affecting Earth technology. Lisa established communication protocols with observatories worldwide to coordinate the final activation. On the night the Star Eater arrived, Michael stood outside the physics building looking up at the stars. To his eyes, the sky looked normal, but he knew that somewhere in the darkness an ancient intelligence was approaching their solar system. The star network had gone completely silent now, leaving Earth as the last hope for stopping the cosmic destroyer. Inside the building, his team made final preparations for the battle that would determine the fate of not just Earth, but every star in the universe. Emma ran through her calculations one more time while James checked every connection and component in their modified accelerator. Lisa coordinated with observers worldwide who would track the battle and report its outcome to any surviving civilizations. The Star Eater arrived at exactly the time the alien message had predicted. Space telescopes detected its gravitational signature as it entered the outer edge of the solar system. The ancient intelligence began its approach toward the sun, completely unaware that the primitive civilization on the third planet had prepared a surprise for it. Michael gave the order to activate the quantum resonance device. The particle accelerator roared to life one final time as it channeled all its energy into creating the field that would either save or doom their world. The basement filled with the strange glow of twisted space and time as their weapon reached full power. The battle lasted only minutes but felt like hours to the four scientists watching their instruments. The quantum field propagated outward, from Earth at light speed, creating ripples in space that disrupted the Star Eater energy absorption process. The ancient intelligence tried to adapt to the unexpected interference, but found itself unable to feed on solar energy. Confused and weakened, the Star Eater retreated back to the dark spaces between galaxies. As it departed the stars throughout, the universe began to twinkle normally again, signaling that the cosmic network recognized Earth's successful defense. Michael looked up at the night sky with tears in his eyes. The stars were still twinkling, but now he understood their true meaning. They were not just beautiful lights in the darkness, but part of a vast communication system connecting all intelligent life in the universe. Earth had earned its place in that cosmic community through courage and determination. As dawn broke over the observatory, Michael realized their work was just beginning. The star network was now including Earth in its communications, and there were countless civilizations out there waiting to make contact. The question was no longer why stars twinkle, but what amazing things they would reveal next about the universe and humanity's place in it.